Ji, Assalamu alaikum. This is your teacher Ummat Tabriz Shami for the BSc course of Automotive Electronics EE 202. I pray to Allah for the well-being and safety of all of my students and their families. In this online video lecture, we will cover part number 3 of our ongoing chapter Electronics Fundamentals. And in this part, I want to cover transistors, phototransistors, integrated circuits, and transistor gates, inshallah. So once we have done this, we will finish the chapter number 12. So let us start. Yes, so this is the transistor part of our lecture. The transistor is a semiconductor device that is, first of all, it is controllable. It is not like our normal diode. The normal diodes are not controllable. Normal diodes, they only need 0.7 volts, a voltage greater than 0.7 volts, and they need to be forward biased to make them conduct. Okay. So, but however, once the diode is conducting or it is forward biased, we cannot control the diode. The transistor, on the other hand, it is a controllable device. The transistor has 3 terminals. One is the collector terminal, second is the base terminal, and the third is the emitter terminal. All transistors, they will always have 3 terminals: the collector, the base, and the emitter. Now, the transistor is a semiconductor device that can perform the following electrical functions. First, it can act as an electrical switch in a circuit. Perhaps this is the widest used application in automotive electronics, to use the transistor as a electrical switch. That is, when we provide, as we will see, when we provide a base current, the transistor is said to be turned on, and when we remove the base current, the transistor is said to be turned off. Then the second application is act as an amplifier of a current in a circuit. The transistor can act as an amplifier. How can it act as an amplifier? We must not forget that the collector current is equal to the base current multiplied by gain, or beta. IC is equal to beta times IB. So the amplifier will provide a gain to the collector current. Whatever is the base current, we multiply it by the beta value, and we get the collector current. Secondly, the third application is that the transistor will regulate the current in a circuit. This can also be achieved by using the same formula, that IC is equal to beta times IB. Hence we can use a transistor either as a switch, second, or as a amplifier, or as to regulate or maintain a certain amount of current. Now, the word transistor is derived from 2 words. First word is transfer, and second word is resistor. So transfer of resistor, when we join them together, we get transistor. Is used to describe the transfer of current across a resistor. The transistor, the base current multiplied by the gain beta is equal to collector current. And when we pass this collector current through a resistance across RC, across the collector, we get a voltage that will be a function of base current and the value of resistance. A transistor is made up of three alternating sections or layers of p-type and n-type material. So every transistor has p-type material and n-type material. It is made up of three layers of p-type and n-type material. And for this reason, this type of transistor is usually called a bipolar transistor. We call this a bipolar transistor because every transistor, it will either have two n-type materials and one p-type material, or a transistor may have two p-type materials and one n-type material. Right, so before we go to the next paragraph, let us look at a very interesting line written by the author. The last line, I'm going to read the last line. This type of transistor is usually called a bipolar transistor. So what does the author mean by writing this type of transistor? So we must not forget that there are many types of transistors, and this transistor that we are studying, it is called a bipolar junction transistor, or simply BJT. But BJT is only one type of transistor. We have a variety of transistors. For example, after the BJT, there is the FET, the field effect transistor, and then there are MOSFETs, the metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. We can have IGBT, insulated gate bipolar junction transistor, and so on. However, at this early stage, we are going to study bipolar transistors, the BJT, the bipolar junction transistor. A transistor that has p-type material on each end with n-type material in the center is called a PNP transistor. And another type with the exact opposite arrangement is called the NPN transistor. So now in the diagram, let us look at the PNP and the NPN transistor. In figure A, we have the PNP transistor, the PNP transistor. Now the construction of a PNP transistor is that there is two p-type materials on either sides. This is the first type material, p-type material, and this is the second p-type material, and in between we have a n-type material, hence the name PNP transistor. Now since there is one n-type material and this n-type material is connected to both p-type on either sides, hence we will have two junction in every transistor. This is the first junction called J1 and this is the second junction called J2. So this is the PN junction or the depletion region. Right, now we come to the symbolic representation of the PNP transistor. Here is the emitter terminal. This is the emitter terminal in the construction, and then we see the collector terminal. The collector terminal, here is the collector terminal in the construction, and then there is the base terminal over here, and here is the base terminal over here. And this arrow indicates that this transistor is our PNP transistor. This is the symbolic representation of PNP transistor. Now let us come to the NPN transistor. In the circuit above shows in the diagram above shows the NPN transistor. The NPN transistor, now the NPN transistor has two n-type material and one p-type material in between. This is our first n-type material, this is the second n-type material, and here is the p-type material which is placed in between the two n-type materials. This transistor also it has a emitter, a collector, and a base. This transistor also has two junctions called J1 and J2. And the symbolic representation is that it has three terminals: the emitter, the collector, and the base. And the representation of it being an NPN transistor is represented by an outgoing arrow, as shown over here. So this outgoing arrow shows that, or represents that, this transistor is an NPN transistor. Right. Next, the figure 12.22 represents both NPN transistor and PNP transistor. The caption is that basic transistor operation is small. Current flowing through the base and emitter of the transistor turns on the transistor and permits a higher amperage current to flow from the collector and the emitter. And this basic transistor operation is what we will study in the coming slides. So now let us come to the next slide. The next slide is transistor types. We see the PNP transistor and the NPN transistor. The PNP transistor, the first diagram shows the construction. We have two P-type materials, and one in between we have the N-type material. The first P-type material is the collector terminal. The second P-type material is the emitter terminal, and in between where there is the N-type material, we have the base. Then we see the circuit symbols for PNP transistors: the collector, the base, and the emitter. And in the lower diagram, there is the NPN transistor. First is the construction. Since it is NPN, it has two N-type material. This is the first N-type material, and this is the second N-type material. And then there is the P-type material. Here again, between the N-type material is the P-type material, which is the base. The first N-type material is the collector, and the second N-type material is the emitter. Now, there are two new things in this slide that we must discuss. First is that if we observe the N-type material or the P-type material, we will see that always the base of either of a PNP transistor or of NPN transistor, the base always has the smallest or the thinnest width. This is because that it is made purposely so that few electrons they recombine and enter the base, and most of the electrons we want them to jump from the emitter to the collector. So this is why the base material is always kept the thinnest, the very small width, either in the PNP transistor case or in the NPN transistor case. And the second thing that we would like to note is that in both cases, the emitter terminal, whatever is the material, either P-type or the N-type, there is a small positive sign. If it is a P-type material, there is a P positive, and if it is an N-type material, it is a N negative. Whereas if we look at the PNP transistor, the emitter has P positive or P plus, whereas the collector does not have P plus. So what is this? What is the significance of P plus? It means that there is large doping. In the emitter terminal has large doping. So the count of holes, or in the case of NPN, the count of electrons in the emitter will always be larger. We will have a large number of, we need a large number of electrons so that these electrons can migrate to the collector. So this is the reason why there is the P positive or the N positive. Right, next we come to the next slide. In this slide, we would like to discuss the definitions of transistor electrical properties. The electrical properties of transistor. Although there are many properties of transistor, but in this slide we will discuss the most significant electrical properties of a transistor. the operation of the BJT is defined in terms of two currents and two voltages, that is IB, IC, VCE and VBE. So here is the symbolic representation. Here is the symbol of the NPN transistor. Here we have the collector terminal. The current flowing into the collector terminal is called IC, and second we have the base terminal. The current flowing into the base terminal is called IB, and third we have the emitter terminal, and the current flowing into the emitter terminal is called IE. The first electrical property is that IE is equal to IB plus IC. This is IE. IE is the sum of base current and collector current in simple terms. We can apply Kirchhoff's current law and we can find that the emitter current is always the sum of base current and the collector current. The second electrical property is what is the relation between IC and IB. The relation between IC and IB is very famous, that is beta, and it is equal to beta is equal to IC divided by IB, where beta is the gain, amplification gain of a transistor, and it is equal to the collector current divided by base current. And this value, the beta value, is normally found from the manufacturer's data sheet of a particular model of the BJT. This equation can also be written as, IC is equal to beta IB. IC is equal to beta times IB. We rearrange this equation, we get IC equal to beta IB. Right. And then the third electrical property is that VCE is equal to VCB plus VBE. Here is base and emitter, and this is VBE. VBE plus VCB is equal to VCE. In simple terms, voltage between base emitter plus voltage between collector base is equal to voltage between collector and emitter. So these are the electrical properties. The collector current is always a function of the base current. Hence, this is what we are transferring. The transistor. This is what the transistor is doing. It is transferring the resistance. That is, the base multiplied by the gain is equal to the collector current. Right. Now we come to the next slide. In the next slide, we will discuss how a transistor works. So, how a transistor works. This is our next slide. I will move my picture over here. So, in a NPN transistor connected as shown in figure 12.4, transistor action is accounted for as follows. So this is our figure 12.4. We have NPN transistor, and this is the emitter terminal, the collector terminal, and the base terminal. Now, one thing that I would like to make clear over here, that we will study the operation of a transistor. We will study how a transistor works based on electronic flow, and then we will reverse the direction of the electronic flow to understand the tradition in terms of traditional current. Okay. So what I mean is that here is written IE. IE means the traditional current flowing out of the emitter. It is flowing out of the emitter, hence the electrons or the electronic current is flowing in the opposite direction, like this. So now the majority carriers in the n-type emitter terminal material are electrons. ठीक है जी. The emitter is made up of n-type material, and the majority carriers in the n-type emitter terminal is electrons. We must not forget that the emitter and the base are forward biased. For operation of the transistor, we forward bias the base emitter and we reverse bias the base collector. This is a very important point to understand the operation of a transistor, that the base and emitter is forward biased and the base and the collector is reverse biased, and we will make use of this. Now, one other thing, that when a semiconductor is forward biased, current flows due to majority carriers, and when the same semiconductor is reverse biased, then current flow is due to minority carriers. But since minority carriers are in a very small amount, therefore we say that the current is very small because there is almost no minority carriers. When the semiconductor is reverse biased, current is there only due to minority carriers. Since minority carriers are in a very small amount, therefore we say current is very small. Now, in the second point, the base emitter junction is forward biased. The base and the emitter are forward biased. Therefore, we will have a traditional current or a positive current flowing from the base to the emitter, and at the same time we will have electronic current flowing from the emitter to the base. Now, when the base emitter is forward biased, electrons, they will jump from the emitter and will be available at the base. But the base is slightly doped, it is of thin width. Therefore, when a large number of electrons they jump into the base, only few are recombined, and these recombined electrons they enter into the base terminal. So in the base, only a few electrons they recombine, and a large number of electrons are present in the base, and the base in our case is p-type material. Therefore, the author writes, the base region is very thin and only lightly doped with holes. So some recombination with holes occur, but many electrons are left in the base region. Since the base, now let us understand this point number C, that since the base is very thin and the base is lightly doped, therefore in the p-type material there is a few number of holes. So when electron they come from the emitter into the base, there is a large number of electrons that are coming from the emitter into the base, but in the base there are a few holes. So this means that, for example, if there are 100 electrons coming from the emitter into the base, and in the base there are only 10 holes available, so out of the 100 electrons, only 10 electrons will recombine and remaining 90 will be available in the base. And now in the point number D, the base collector junction is reverse biased. Two holes in the base region and electrons in the collector region, but it is forward biased to electrons in the base region. These electrons are attracted by positive potential at the collector terminal. What does this mean? That in the base, out of the 100 electrons, only 10 electrons they recombined and 90 electrons are present. I'm explaining as an example. Now the base collector is reverse biased, and what is the status of electrons in the p-type material of the base? The base is made of p-type material, and the 90 electron in the p-type material, their status is that they are minority carriers. Now we have reverse bias the base and collector. Therefore, when a semiconductor is reverse biased, minority carriers they flow. And in our case, since minority carriers are electrons, therefore electrons, they will flow from the base into the collector. And secondly, since the collector is positive, this positive terminal will attract the electrons. So as a result, a large number of electrons in the base region cross the base collector junction into the collector region, creating a collector current. This is how the transistor will work. Right, so now we come to the next slide. This is the next slide, and this slide shows the biasing techniques for NPN and PNP transistors. If we have a NPN transistor, then the base emitter will be forward biased, and we will do this by connecting a power supply like as shown, and the base collector will be reverse biased, and we will do the same we will do this by using a power supply such that the positive terminal power supply is connected towards the collector terminal, and the emitter is grounded. In the case of PNP transistor, again we have to forward bias the base emitter. For doing this, we will now connect the negative of the battery to the base, and the positive of the battery is grounded. Likewise, for reverse biasing the base collector, we will connect the negative terminal of battery towards the collector, and the positive side will be grounded. So this is the biasing of our BJT transistors. Only if we forward bias base emitter and reverse bias base collector, only then the transistor will work. We must keep this in mind. So next we come to the second slide. And in this slide, it is highlighted that for active mode operation, the collector junction is reverse biased and the emitter junction is forward biased. This is what we have seen. And in this slide, the activities going on in the base are shown. That is the base current. The base current consists of two components: the injected holes in the emitter and the recombination holes with the electron injected in the emitter. So now we come to a very important slide, which is the transistor characteristics. In this slide, we want to understand the characteristics of a transistor. Every BJT transistor has two types of characteristics. One is the input characteristic, and second is the output characteristic. First is the input characteristics, and second is the output characteristics. The circuit setup to find the transistor characteristics is shown over here. This is the circuit setup. This experimental circuit setup will determine the transistor characteristics. So what we have done here is that the emitter is common and it is grounded. Then the base connected through R1 is connected to input voltage, and the collector through R2 is connected to another external power supply, VCC. So Vin is one external power supply and VCC is the other power supply. However, in the case of input characteristics, we only need to study the input voltage, the Vin, the base current, and VBE. The base current and VBE will determine the input characteristic. And this graph shows the input characteristics of a BJT transistor. On the x-axis is the base emitter voltage, and on the y-axis is the base current. Now, to determine the input characteristics, we must not forget that the base emitter of a transistor is a PN junction. If we go back a few slides, yes, like the one shown over here, let us look at the NPN transistor. This is the base terminal and this is the emitter terminal. Between the base and emitter is the p-type material and the n-type material, and the junction represents the depletion region. So the base, and between the base and emitter lies one PN junction, and one PN junction is always a simple diode. So what we should expect, what characteristics should we expect from the base emitter? The characteristics should be very similar as of to a normal diode. So let us now come to the original slide. So in this input characteristics, Vin is the external power supply. It is kept variable. We can vary the input power supply. So this arrow represents a variable power supply. This is IB. IB is the current flowing through R1 through base emitter and into the power supply. And then there is voltage base emitter, VE. So on the x-axis is the base emitter voltage, and on the y-axis is the base current. And we will find the characteristics when we increase the input voltage from 0 volt to 1 volt. Now what will happen when we increase input voltage from 0 volt to 1 volt? So because of depletion region, from 0 volt to 6 volt there will be no activity, because the depletion region has 0.7 volt of its own, and to overcome this depletion region voltage we must supply an external voltage larger than 0.6 volt or 0.7 volt. After 0.6 volt, when we increase the input voltage, external input voltage beyond 0.6 volt, we observe that the current starts to rise. This is because that the external power supply is now gaining larger voltage as compared to the depletion region voltage, and after 0.7 we say that the external power supply has overcome the depletion region and a large current can flow through the base. Hence the input characteristics look very similar to the characteristics of a normal diode. This is the input characteristics measured between base and emitter. Now secondly, let us come to the output characteristics. The output characteristics are observed with collector emitter voltage on the x-axis. This is the collector emitter voltage. This is the collector emitter voltage. And collector current on the y-axis. Here is the collector current. This is the collector current on the y-axis. And we observe such characteristics by changing the value of base current. So first of all, we will arrange V in so that 25 milliampere flow into the base, and then we will note the graph between collector emitter voltage and collector current, and then we will increase the base current and note the same readings of collector emitter voltage and collector current. So on these characteristics we are observing various collector emitter voltage versus collector current for increasing base current, the base current. So we can observe that as the base current increases, there are separate readings on the collector emitter and collector emitter voltage and collector current graph, and this is the output characteristics. So this means that as we change the base current, the collector current and the collector emitter voltage will also vary, and this is the collector output characteristics. And we make use of the output characteristics by drawing an imaginary load line. and this load line will represent the amplification as done by the amplifier. So when we apply a small base current, the output will be enhanced and our transistor will amplify the signal over here like this. The amplifier will enhance the signal like this, and this point is called the Q point. Right, now we come to the next slide. In the next slide we will discuss a special transistor which is called the phototransistor. Phototransistor, similar in operation to a photodiode. A phototransistor uses light energy to turn on the base of a transistor. A phototransistor is an NPN transistor that has large exposed area to permit light to act as control of the transistor. So in a phototransistor, we will use light to turn on or off the transistor. So a phototransistor may or it may not have base terminal. If not, then it has only a collector emitter lead. When the phototransistor is connected to a power circuit, light intensity is amplified by the gain of the transistor. Phototransistor along with photodiodes are frequently used in steering wheel control. Figure 12.26 shows the symbols of phototransistor. In the first case, there is the collector emitter, and this light represents that this symbol is of a phototransistor. And in the first case, there is the base terminal. And in the second case, there is no base terminal. There is simple light falling on the base. When the light falls on the base, it will turn on the switch and current will flow from the collector to the emitter. Now, if you look at the circuit above, it shows the simple circuit of detecting light by using a phototransistor. In this circuit, what we have is a power supply ranging between 4 volt to 6 volt. Then we are using a phototransistor. The collector is connected to the power supply. The base is left open. It is the place where the light will fall. The light will fall on the base, and the emitter is connected to a buzzer. This buzzer will produce a sound if it has current flowing into the buzzer. So when there is current flowing into the buzzer will produce a sound. Now this circuit detects light. When light falls on the base emitter will be saturated and current will be allowed to flow through the collector into the base and into the buzzer. And as current flows through the buzzer will make sound, or it will make noise. When we have light falling on the base, the transistor turns on and a current flows through the collector into the emitter and into the buzzer, and the buzzer turns on, it produces sound. But when we remove this light, then when there is no light, then the collector emitter, there is no current in the collector emitter, and hence there is no current into the buzzer, and there is no sound coming from the buzzer. So this circuit can act as a very good light detector using phototransistor. Phototransistors are also used for steering control in automobiles. Right, now we come to the next slide. The title of the next slide is Integrated Circuits. So as we all know that electronic circuits are a combination of transistors, resistors, capacitors, diodes, and many other electronic components. So these components are all fixed electronically on a PCB. You will see what is a PCB. However, there are a few constraints that by adding individual components, the so these individual resistors, diodes or transistors, they will increase the volume, the space required and the weight of the PCB. Now one alternate is to use integrated circuits. Integrated circuits are ICs. In short, they are called IC, integrated circuit. They are chips. They are electronic chips in which the manufacturer has already built in a various numbers of components, and they will all be integrated. That is, they'll all be joined together. So by definition, newer style electronic devices use the same component, but they are now combined or integrated into one group of circuit, and thus they are called integrated circuits. So in the second slide, we will look at a PCB and we will look at integrated circuits. Yes, this whole, this complete figure is a PCB. It is a printed circuit board. This complete board is the printed circuit board. It has it there is the electrical network is printed already, and on them we will place ICs and discrete component. Discrete means that they are all be individual component. For example, here we see the discrete component of a resistor. Here we see discrete component of a capacitor. Here is a discrete component of a resistor. Now this is the IC here. This is the dual inline IC. This is an IC. This is an IC over an integrated circuit. In this circuit, there will be many electrical components. They are all combined together. And this whole complete is the PCB, which is now compact and it is acquiring less space. So this is the integrated circuit. Right. Next, we come to the next slide. Transistor gates. Transistor gates are the Boolean algebraic implementation in electronics. Gates, we know that in Boolean algebra we have AND gate, OR gate, NOR gate or NOT function or NAND function. So we can implement these Boolean algebraic functions in electronic circuits, and such circuits will be called transistor gates. We can implement all of the Boolean algebra using transistor gates. So in an example, let us look at example of an AND gate. This is in here we are implementing an AND gate using two transistors. This is the first transistor, second transistor, and A and B are the inputs of the transistor. A and B is the input function and out is the output function. And this whole circuit is the AND gate implemented using transistors, two input AND gates. The two input AND gate truth table is given over here. B and A are the input and out is the output function. And these are the four possibilities, that when A and B both are 0, output is 0. When B is 0 out and A is 1, output is 0. When B is 1 and A is 0, output is again 0. But when B and A are both 1, only then output is 1. This is the truth table of the AND gate, and we can implement this using this circuit. This was one example. Now we come to the other example. That is how we can implement an OR gate using two transistors. So here is the OR gate, that is A and B. A and B are the input and out is the output function. And we can draw the output truth table, that this is B and this is A and this is 0 out. Now A and B can have only four possibilities. First possibility is both are 0. Second possibility is B is 1, A is 0. Third possibility is B is 0 and A is 0. Sorry, A is 1, and fourth possibility is B is 1 and A is 1. So what will we have? What will be the output for OR gate? In the first possibility, when B is 0 and A is 0, output is also 0. And when B is 1 and A is 0, output is 1. And third possibility, when B is 0, A is 1, output is 1. And when both are 1, output is 1. This is the truth table of OR gate, two input OR gate. We have implemented the OR gate using two transistors in the circuit shown above, and here is the output signal. So this is the OR gate. So in fact, we can implement all Boolean algebraic using transistor gates. And in the third slide here, these are the Boolean algebra functions, and which can be implemented in using transistor gates. So we have AND gate, we have OR gate, we have the NOT gate. NOT is a simple inverter. Then we have the NAND gate, the NOR gate, XOR gate, and the XNOR gate. So these are the very commonly used Boolean gates, which can be implemented using transistors. Okay. So this brings us to the end of our chapter number 12. This brings us to the end of our third lecture, which is the final lecture on electronic fundamentals. In the next lecture, we will discuss a new article. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for listening to my online lecture. Yes, and before I leave, I would like to uh, stress on the fact that my students, they must listen to the online lectures. Plus, all of my students, they must also read from our textbook. Reading from the textbook is highly essential. Okay, so I will highly recommend that the students, they read from the textbook and they do exercises from the textbook, whether it is numerical exercises or the objective based exercises. Okay, so thank you very much. So Allah Ta'ala आप सबको अपनी खास हिफ्ज़-ओ-मान में रखे और जी, thank you very much. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.